Welcome everyone to the clash between GM Pranav V and Ala Eddine Boulrens. The game began with standard Queen's Gambit moves d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, e3. White chooses a solid flexible setup delaying the standard c4. Black responded with bishop to g4, leading swiftly to the Slav defense. A cornerstone of the Slav defense is Black's ability to develop the light-squared bishop outside the central pawn structure before committing to e6. Unlike the Queen's Gambit declined, here Black successfully pinned the knight on f3. The moves c4, c6, knight to c3, e6 solidified Black's center, creating a semi-Slav pawn structure, although the bishop was already developed outside e6 and c6 pawn chain. The strategic intensity escalated immediately with Pranav V's aggressive kingside play challenging Black's carefully placed bishop after h3, bishop to h5. White played the highly committed move g4. This pawn thrust is a direct strategic choice, sacrificing kingside pawn structure stability for immediate space, tempo, and the creation of an open flank where white can aim for an initiative. By forcing the bishop to retreat, bishop to g6, white achieved a critical tactical goal with knight to e5, knight b to d7, knight takes g6, h takes g6. The exchange of black's active light-squared bishop for white's knight eliminated the black's most thematic piece and solidified white's grip on the center. The success of this early aggression neutralized Black's core opening theme and substituted it with a spatial advantage for White, confirming that Pranav V's aggressive tendencies translated effectively into opening preparation. Black's subsequent move, however, began to destabilize the position after bishop to d2. Black played bishop to d6. The engine analysis strongly favors the more active move bishop to b4, which forces white to address the pressure on the center, and the c3 knight placing the bishop on d6 was too passive, allowing white to continue with kingside siege with g5, knight to h5, h4, locking the knight out of the defense and confirming a space advantage for white. The strategic disconnect was compounded by black's castling decision, following queen to b3, applying pressure on the queen side. Black castled, white castling long centralized black's rooks. It committed the king to a vulnerable position directly opposite the white's lines of development. White, having established a solid advantage after longside king castled, then suffered a momentary lapse in calculation. Pranav V played rook to c1, choosing a slow preparatory move. The immediate and decisive continuation was longside castling, securing the king before continuing the attack. This hesitation, choosing positional consolidation over immediate tactical action, briefly undermined the momentum built by the aggressive g4 push. This suggests that even a calculating player like Pranav V can struggle to maintain tactical accuracy under the time and match pressure of a knockout event. Black capitalized on this reprieve with d takes c4, bishop takes c4, knight, knight b6, knight to e4, king b8, successfully exchanging the contested d-pawn, and stabilizing the king's position. The game then entered complex maneuvering phase. Black achieved central counterplay with e5, trading pawns and relieving central tension. D takes e5 and bishop takes e5. White continued to improve the position of the pieces like bishop to b4, queen to e8, knight to c5, bishop d6, bishop e2, queen to e7, rook to g1, f5, king f1, king a8, and the king f1 move, moving the king to safety, and then king a8, bishop to f3, knight to d5, bishop a3, rook h8, rook h e8, then king g2, while black maneuvered knight to an active central outpost with knight d5. The crucial turning point came on move number 26, with white's king now secure. Black committed to the second decisive strategic error, bishop to b8. This move is a very big error. Instead of trying to maintain central tension with f4, black retreated bishop unnecessary. This passive move lost a critical tempo and failed to challenge white's control, allowing Pranav V to seize the initiative immediately. This illustrates the fundamental principle that in complex position, passive defense or retreating pieces often results in a loss of the initiative, which higher-rated players are adept at exploiting. With the evaluation swingingly swinging heavily back into White's favor, the game entered its most dramatic phase, defined by a stunning sequence of mutual blunders. On move number 27, Pranav V attempted a flashy attack with knight to a6. The intended idea was to disrupt Black's queenside, but the execution was fatally flawed. The engine analysis confirms that this move instantly squandered the substantial advantage, dropping the evolution bar. The correct positional move was rook g to d1, connecting the rooks and preparing to exploit the open lines. The move knight to a6 was a severe overextension, putting the knight completely out of play. Black means Boulrens immediately recognized the opportunity and played queen to e5, challenging White's pieces, preparing the decisive tactical blow. White was forced to play knight takes b8, sacrificing the material to prevent a larger collapse. This was the moment for Black. Boulrens had a forced win with the brilliant continuation knight takes e3 check. Let me show you the continuation first, before the game. If he takes with the pawn, then queen to g3 check here, and we will have the bishop, and just see the evaluation bar. It's fully on black's side, means black is fully winning here. And Now let's go back to the game. But Black missed this highly forcing sequence, choosing the simple material recovery. Queen takes b8. This immediate counter blunder returned the game to White, flipping the evaluation from a lost position back to a decisive advantage for White. This near miss phenomenon, where both players miss the critical tactical sequences involving checks and captures in succession, profoundly illustrates the mental toll of high-stakes knockout chess. Boulrens' failure to prioritize the most forcing continuation, the check, over a routine recapture allowed Pranav V to survive and secured a lasting material advantage. Having survived the tactical sequence, Pranav V demonstrated superior technical skill in converting the secured material advantage. The subsequent play focused on coordination and simplification, a trademark strategy when holding an exchange advantage. White immediately connected the rook and centralized the pieces with rook g to e1 and rook g to e1. Then queen to e5, which is an inaccuracy. You can see bishop to c5, rook to h8, queen a4, queen b8, rook e to d1. Black struggled to formulate a coordinated plan, making further positional errors, such as such as you can see in move number 31, queen to b8, which allowed White to improve the positions further. Black's desperate attempt at counterplay with f4 with f4 failed to disrupt White's control. Pranav V systematically eliminated Black's defensive resources. The strong central outpost was used to force a simplification. Bishop to e4, e4, knight to c7, e5, knight to d5, then bishop d6, rook takes d6, e takes d6, queen takes d6. This reduced the complexity of the position, transforming the game into an endgame with a decisive material edge for White. The final conversion was a clean showcase of endgame technique. Pranav V captured the queen, remaining central pawns on move number 39. Means after queen to c4, a6, bishop takes d5, c takes d5, and queen takes d5, and calmly dealt with Black's final tactical maneuvers. f3 check, queen takes f3, knight to f4 check, king g1. The final featured impassable rook coordination, a critical skill in rook endgames. The sequence rook to d7, rook takes h4, rook c to c7, immediately restricted black's king and rook. The immediate liquidation, queen queen takes b7 check, queen takes b7 and rook takes b7 ensured a technically winning rook versus knight endgame, leaving white with a rook and three pawns versus a knight and two pawns, with overwhelming positional advantages including control of the seventh rank, recognizing the futility of further resistance against the superior technical play. Boulrens resigned, securing the 1 point for Pranav V in the first classical game of the match.